This is why the houses call us Nyamirido Dondoya. Today, almost everyone in Nigeria and beyond enjoys eating yam. We boil it, fry it, roast it, pound it into pounded yam, and use it to prepare many delicious meals. But have you ever stopped to ask where yam came from or how people first learned to grow it? Have you? Do you know it was Igbo ancestors in their wisdom and science that domesticated the African white yam we eat today? Relax as I walk you down through the journey and history about yam and why it is the king of crops in Igbo land. The Igbo people were the first to turn yam from a wild forest plant into a proper food crop. Yes, you had it right. Yam exists the way we know it today because of the Igbo people. The story of yam goes back thousands of years. It is a story of patience, wisdom, and hard work by the ancient people who lived in what is now southeastern Nigeria, long before modern farming, long before cities, long before Europe even knew that West Africa existed. The Igbo ancestors were already scientists in their own right. Thousands of years ago, around 5000 BCE, the ancestors of the Igbo discovered wild yam species in the thick forest of southeastern Nigeria. These wild species, Dioscorea abyssinica and Dioscorea prahensilis, were smaller, harder to eat, and not very tasty. Instead of ignoring them, our Igbo ancestors carefully studied them. They noticed that some yams were better than the others. So they began selecting the best ones, planting them close to their homes, watching how they grew, and saving the strongest plants for the next planting season. They repeated this process again and again and again over many generations. Little by little, the wild yam changed into the larger, healthier, and more delicious African white yam that millions of people eat today. This process is called domestication. It means taking a wild plant and gradually improving it through careful farming until it becomes suitable for people to grow and eat. That is over 7,000 years of knowledge and hard work. This means African white yam is not just a crop to the Igbo people. The African yam is a creation of Igbo intelligence, patience, and science. That is why Igbo people and yam can never be separated. This is why yam is much more than food to the Igbo. This is why the Anam people of Anambra State are the chief cultivators of yam in Africa. The Dabush Kabash. This is why we celebrate yam. And even the yam god Ifejoko and Ahanjoko worshipped in Igbo land. I've told you guys this story before. There is one Mbala in my family. We call it Mbala Njokuji. Yam is revered in my family. I remember one of these days we went home for Xmas period. This is why Ndibo have the most elaborate Iriji, that is the Yam Festival, in the whole world. It is a symbol of hard work. It is a symbol of success. It is a symbol of honor. It is a symbol of life. So when someone says Yam is Igbo, Igbo is Yam, it is not just a proverb. It is history. It is also the reason why Igbo Nerijinede is a localized expression in Igbo land. Even the Hausas call Igbos Dodondoya, that is yam wizards, giants of yam, monsters of yam. Listen, when the Portuguese started exploring West Africa in the 1400s, they were surprised to see how well the Igbos grew yam. They were shocked to see the size and quality of Igbo yams. They had never seen anything like that. No, Andwa. They carried yam from Alibu to the Americas during the slave trade because it was strong enough to survive long sea journeys and could feed Africans taken on those ships. Oji, Geji feed your ancestors in the slave trade. They got Oji. In the 1500s and 1600s, Portuguese and Spanish colonizers took yam to Brazil and the Caribbean. Africans from yam growing regions, especially the Igbo areas, taught plantation owners how to plant and manage yam farms. Yam became the main food that helped enslaved Africans survive on sugar plantations. We have been doing it, not be today. We erase our history. Yam was so important that the colonial masters used it to reduce food costs by forcing enslaved people to grow their own yam for survival. By the 1700s, yam farming was already supporting big plantation economies across the Caribbean and parts of the South America. So the question is simple. Without yam created by the Igbo ancestors, what would millions of enslaved Africans have survived on? Igbos and saving life came uniting. In Igbo land, yam is not just food, it is wealth, respect, manhood, and tradition. In the old days, a man's riches were measured by how many yam bands he had. Women were not allowed to plant yam because yam was seen as a king of crops, linked to strength and spiritual responsibility. Every year, the Igbo celebrates the new yam festival, the Iwaji, or some people call it Iriji. This celebration is not because the Igbo simply love yam. It is because the Igbo created yam as we know it today. A child must honor their creation. Look at Nigeria's economy. Yam is now a crop with huge production value and international recognition. Think of how many families depend on yam. Think of how yam carried African people through some of the hardest moments in history. All this started from Igbo ancestors who refused to give up on a wild forest plant. To every Igbo son and daughter, be proud. Your people shaped world agriculture. Your culture carried a crop around the globe. Your ancestors turned a wild plant into food that kept generations alive. No wonder people say yam is Igbo, Igbo is yam. It represents culture, it represents life, it represents survival, it represents spiritual connection. This is why the houses call us Nyammiri Dondoya. They know the link is deep. Yam is Igbo, Igbo is yam. The two cannot be separated. Shout out to the Igbo people. Cha 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 Igbo kweno, Igbo riedo, Igbo wano, Igbo kwezono. Exactly. Don't forget, if your children do not know how to speak Igbo or solve mathematics properly, bring them into my academy. If you want Japa or you define solution concerning Japa things, come, I did for you. If you want to learn how to create content and edit videos, I am also here for you. If you also want to learn AI content, come, I did for you. We have lands available for sale across Igbo regions. Send me a DM.